Hey Gearfacts friends, welcome to my tutorial about how to edit sounds on Casio's CT-X3000 and 5000 keyboards. Straight into it, the first thing you have to do is hold down the function key so that you can get into that edit mode. Now, to move us around this environment, the numeric keys become directional keys, left and right. Don't worry too much about up and down, they barely ever get used. Think more about the exit and enter keys. Those are the ones that are going to get you in and out of menus. It's easy to get lost in these menus, so think of it like this, a series of screens from left to right. Pressing enter on any of these will take you to the next level, which will be a series of screens. Some levels will have more screens than others. And on a deep dive it can get very confusing, so if you do get lost, just press exit until you're up to that first layer and you should have a good idea of where you're at. It doesn't hurt to practice navigating around a bit because these keyboards are very confusing. Okay, here's our default sound, stage piano. Let's try messing with the attack. Normally you'd expect attack to give us a slow increase in volume as we play the sound. But notice with this stage piano, it doesn't do that. It does seem to change the timbre of the sound a little bit, but this is something you have to get used to with CTX keyboards. Familiar parameters like attack might not necessarily have the effect that you are expecting. However, if we use that number 6 button, which is actually our right arrow, we can move across to resonance and cutoff. And although it starts off subtle, I've been finding that you actually get a much stronger change than you'd normally expect. So that's an intro with some parameters that most of us would find quite familiar. I'm going to exit there, and I won't save what I've just done. We'll talk more about saving sounds later. For now, let's find something more synthy to work with. Okay, that sounds like a good place to start. Have a listen to what attack does this time. A bit more familiar, but still not quite what we'd normally expect. And herein lies the quirky personality of CTX keyboards. Let's have a listen to release. I like that quick release, works really well with delay, but we'll talk about effects a bit more later on. That's a good place to start for a nice pad sound. Now let's brighten it up using cutoff and resonance. Yep, that's a nice bright sound to start off. Now vibrato, this is a very exciting part of the synthesizing process. So we have our 4 wave types, but you'll notice it didn't change as I went through them. That's because we haven't actually given vibrato any value yet. So let's press enter and we can give it some depth. As you can hear, I left it on sine wave. Let's try some others. For vibrato, my personal favourite is the square wave. It gives a nice vintage Gary Newman sort of feel. Yeah, nice and harsh. You can also set how long it takes to kick in. Or you can have max vibrato from the moment you press the key. So we've looked at the speed and depth of vibrato. The next item on this first line of options is octave. And it's a no-brainer. A little reminder, just keep in mind that we're on that very first row of options. So it's all quite simple. The next one is patch volume. Then velocity sensitivity. Normally for a sound like this I'd have it on 0, but I'll just demonstrate how accurate the sensitivity is. Yep, that is pretty accurate. The next one is Reverb Send. Bear in mind, reverb is set separately on this keyboard, so we're just determining how much of this patch's sound is going to be sent through the external reverb system. Or I should say for the reverb that is set as a master effect elsewhere in the keyboard. Same deal for chorus send. We're talking about the master chorus effect here, and the amount of our signal is going to pass through it. The final master effect is delay, and again we can determine how much of our patch is going to be sent to that delay effect. Looks like master delay is set very subtle, but like I said, that's a completely separate thing, and we can't adjust what any of those master effects are doing from the synth editing menu that we're in now. The next item is DSP, and for me this is the most fun in the process. DSP stands for Digital Signal Processing, and we can turn that on to give us access to a huge range of effects. Some of them are just simple overdrives or chorus effects, but some of them are really quite complicated multi-effect setups. And generally it gets more complex as you go up through the numbers. That ring modulator isn't very musical, but it's a whole lot of fun. All of these effects have parameters that you can change as well. So when you find one you like, just press enter to go one level deeper and edit the parameters. Like with this phaser, the first option is to bypass, but obviously we don't want to do that. You can set its resonance. Manual, which to be honest I don't fully understand, it just seems to adjust its timbre a little bit. And the rate, which is the speed at which it oscillates. And just try different combinations until your sound feels right. This particular DSP option is a multi-effect in the sense that it has that phaser as well as an amp simulation. Bypass is off, which means we are hearing that amp simulation. And there are heaps to choose from. Some of these codes might look familiar. And some might not, but anyway, those are some of our variations. Finally, we have a dry-wet balance. You probably already know this, but the dry signal is what comes before the effect, and the wet signal is what comes after the effect, and we can set how much of each we hear. The effect is often quite subtle, so I'll take it to extremes here. So you get the idea. Pressing exit repeatedly now takes us right up through that menu, right to the top until it asks us if we're sure we want to exit. And if I click on the enter or yes button, it'll ask me if I want to write that patch. So I'll say yes again, and it will offer to save it as sound 801. 801 through to 899 are blank patches, so you can save 99 sounds of your own. And just a word of warning, friends, if you're at this stage and you press any other key on the keyboard, you will instantly lose all your work. There is no going back. So if it's offering to save and you want to save, then save. So as you can hear, we're back on piano and I've lost that sound I've made. Anyway, friends, that's a basic overview. Like I said at the beginning, practice going through the edit menu because it's very easy to get lost, but once you master your way around it, you'll find it's really quite impressive what the CT-X3000 and 5000 can do. Oh, and by the way, once you've made your sound, don't forget to try it with the portamento function. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.